they're on stage and he's dressed like shit. He's a giant, dirty, oversized, faded black t-shirt and shorts. Someone in the crowd spits on him, spits right on his shirt without missing a beat. He grabbed his shirt and licks it off. Yeah. I was like, I fucking love this guy. Yes, yes. Welcome to Every Album Ever with Mike and Alex. My name is Michael Mansour, and I'm joined, as always, by my loving summer currently co-host Alexander Volch. Say hello.
Hello.
This is Every Album Ever, the podcast where we listen to every single album in the world, one artist at a time. That's a new discography per episode. And today we'll be discussing every album by
Poison Idea, coming in at a combined weight of 1,300 pounds.
No joke. That is literally what they weighed. This is requested on Patreon. It's not the first time this has happened, but it's the first time that we've actually recorded an episode where this has happened. Requested by two patrons.
Nice. Two
patrons. This is requested by both Eli and our buddy Rory, Rory has been with us forever.
Yes, I feel like it's been a while since I've talked about Rory. I was going to say seen, but I've never seen
You've
Rory.
never seen Rory, nor have I. He did Crass. He also requested The Cramps. And the last one he requested was Septic Death. That was the most recent one. And now we got another Rory pick. They're always punk.
Always punk.
Which is it's reliable, and it's a nice home base for me personally. I was a big Poison Idea fan as a teenager.
I 100% assumed you would be.
Yes, and of one record.
One record.
I'd only heard one. I heard more than one, but I heard one thing that we're covering here, and then a compilation that I bought when I was really young that we're not going to be covering. So there's most of this I haven't heard.
Okay,
but there is one thing that I've heard countless times.
Okay.
But before we get into any of all that, please hang out if you like us. Hang out longer. Subscribe on YouTube if you want to do that. Like the video if you like it. Leave comments, talking shit if you want to do that. You can also leave your picks for best and worst if you want to play along with us. And you can also find a Spotify playlist on Poison Idea. There's a link in the description along with, got links. We got places associated with basically every episode. All those are at everyalbumever.com. You can also find them in the link directly. They're all on Alex's Spotify profile. You could follow him directly on there if you want to. There's a million things there. And if you want to really help us out, patreon.com/everyalbumever. There you get bonus episodes, early access to the loose ends episodes, 20% off all our merch. You get to see our schedule in advance. You get to vote on polls to decide who we're covering next. We haven't discussed it yet, but once we're done recording this, we are going to establish the next poll. The last one is officially closed. I'm so happy with the result of the last one.
Yes.
You already know what it is.
Yes.
I'm so goddamn stoked to do that episode. So go there if you want to be a part of that. And if you're tier 2, if you're bigger than Jesus, just like Eli, just like Rory, you can request artists for us to actually cover. It is the only fucking way we will cover any requests at this point. There's just too many. And even these, man, I'm tired, dude. I'm so fucking burnt out. I'm listening to so much music. I'm tired. Oh, shit. But it is fun. And so go there if you want to do that. Last plug for me, please check out my debut EP, Pander Monkey by Pander Monkey. Link in the description for that. Poster rock, moody, heavy, lots of instruments. It's very pretty. It's very cool. It's me by myself. If you hate me, go ahead and shit on it. If you don't hate me, listen to it because you love me. Okay, there it is. And I think that's it for plugs.
Sounds about right.
All right. So, Poison Idea, hardcore punk, classic hardcore punk, right there in the meat of this of when the scene got fast and crazy. So first record came out 1983, and they went on for a while.
A good while.
Main dude Jerry A. Lang.
That's a singer.
Singer, yep. And then the other consistent member until his death in 2006, Pig Champion, who you know him when you see him, buddy. Boy, oh boy.
Looks like a guy named Pig Champion. Also, there's a burger spot in LA called Grill'em All.
Went there last night.
And they have a burger called the Pig Champion.
Yep.
And I've never listened to this band. Well, I've heard one song by way of a cover. But I've never listened to this band. So I didn't realize that was named after a person.
Oh, you didn't know that?
I thought they just gave it a gross name.
Oh no, that was the first thing I noticed when I first went to it. I was like, holy shit, they named a burger to Pig Champion. That's fucking it's badass. It has like Canadian bacon in it and fucking all kinds. Yeah.
It is worthy of the man.
Good, good.
I've never tried it.
I haven't tried it either.
Maybe next time.
Maybe next time. In honor of this episode, I think it should.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they've been around a fucking while, and they pretty much stayed hardcore until the end, which is both, I think, a good thing and a fucking bad thing.
There's a few divergences,
a little here and there,
that I appreciated.
There were moments where I'm like, holy shit, that's cool. I'm glad they did something a little different. But if you're, and this is why you don't binge albums.
No,
you will start to fucking hate your life, because I toward the end, because I'm gonna tell you right now.
Wow, even you.
I'm gonna tell you right now. I listened to today. I listened to every single album.
Holy shit!
In a row. Maybe with one break.
No, that's insane.
I took most. I think I took all my notes today because I listened to like 6
in your driving. I
listened to like 6 or something like beforehand, and then I didn't take any notes on them. I was like, I'll take my notes when I finish the rest, and then I got sidetracked and I got busy, and I was like, well, I guess I just got to take all the notes along with. Okay, so I just fucking mainlined it.
Holy shit!
And at a certain point, I was like, I don't know if I'm just bored and tired and exhausted, or if these are boring hardcore songs. And at a certain point, I was like, oh, these are just boring hardcore songs, and these ones are still good. And they were. I listened to them so close to each other that I could tell them apart. Still, I didn't lose my fucking brain. I did not lose my mind.
That's impressive, because I did not do what you did. And then for a few albums, I was really getting like the fatigue, and then they kind of changed it up a little bit, which was nice. And then my fatigue was not as constant. So
it is tough with a thing like hardcore, and it's also a thing that we've talked about plenty in the past, because most of our episodes are either punk bands or metal bands, where I don't know how to. It's like the definition of porn. I can't. Like I don't know, but I'll know it when I see it. That's what it is with a good punk song or a good hardcore song or a good metal song or whatever subgenre. It's like I know when it's good, but I can't explain to someone who doesn't listen to that music why it's good. I've tried. They've asked me. I'm like, I can't do it, dude. I'm sorry. So at a certain point, I was losing that definition. Like, well, maybe it's all bad and it's all good. I don't know. And then I was like, wait, this song is fucking way better than that. Okay, all right. I'm just fucking. It's just you lose it when you listen to too many in a row.
Yes.
But I didn't. I've my years in at this point, well over a decade of binging hardcore has not failed me. I still love the genre so much.
I knew you'd come through, because I might need some help on these early ones. So.
Oh yeah, it's very interesting. So like we said, the main dudes are Jerry A and Pig Champion, who were there since the beginning, but they had a lot of lineup changes, and let's just say a fucking lot.
I didn't even bother with any other band member when I saw how many.
Fucking wild. So we got our history from our tried and true history guy, Tom Osman. You can follow him on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Tom Osman Sounds, as well as his Substack at tomosman.substack.com, where he writes about music and all that. And please be sure to check out his debut album, So Much for All in Day's Work, which you can find in the description as well as all the platforms. He's very good at what he does, and he's also very fast. He's much faster than we are at recording these episodes, that's for damn sure. And he sent us a whole bunch of stuff, including the list of the former band members, which I believe you could also find it on the wiki. Jesus Christ. Let's just count them. All right. So they continued after Pig Champion died for one album. So he's considered a former member. So let's just count him. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Look at that.
21, and 3 of them are dead.
3 of them are dead. And the
recent deaths,
very recent death, but also I wish I knew more, because Jerry A just published this year, like a couple months ago. His autobiographies in 3 parts. It's 3-part autobiography, and by all accounts that I've read about it, it is brutal. Like it will fuck you up reading like his childhood and then the years of Poison Idea.
Oh, I bet just one story in these notes, I was like, Jesus Christ, man! Like I'll get to it and
when it comes up.
But
this is the definition of hardcore. Like these guys are one of the perfect, pristine examples of what hardcore punk is. It's like everything about it. It's not just the music, because the music did exemplify that like to a T, but the guys in the band
are gnarly.
They're so gnarly. The ethos behind it, the way they lived, the way they never succeeded, the way like fucking the hardships, the homelessness from like the band members themselves, like it just never was easy.
Like not even early homelessness, like
late in life
homelessness, yeah,
like real homelessness, fucking like resorting to crime, like it's crazy,
yeah,
and it's so real, and it's like it's a nice cold splash of cold water in the face for anybody who fucking had an easier life or who thinks they have it rough. Like, yeah, all right, this is take it easy, buddy.
Yeah,
this sucks a lot more.
Although I do wonder how much of it was self-imposed, because reading about how Pig Champion got his nickname and reading that inside his home there's this piles.
I want to get to the quote specifically because it's so fucking amazing.
Yeah.
And you know what? Let's just fucking get to the quote now, because it is unlike anything else. So this is from 1992. Where was this interview from? This is from Paperback Jukebox. Yeah, so I don't know exactly. I mean, whatever. I've never heard of that, but this is from the interviewer. They say, quote, when photographer John Eckenrode and I arrived at Tom Pig Champion's house. By the way, his name is Tom Roberts. Roberts, right? I'm not fucking misremembering that. Oops.
I hope it doesn't have an S, because you're so dope at nailing. Like, I'll throw S's and vowels on names that don't belong there.
It is Roberts.
Okay. I was just hoping there wouldn't be an S, so you'd be wrong once.
I would feel the cold sting of
it once.
I've been wrong about a lot of shit in this podcast. Don't worry. I try to fix it in post, like at least in the video, but I've been wrong a lot.
Names. You nail it.
At least okay, thank you. I'll take that. When John Eckenrode and I arrived at Tom Pig Champion's house to conduct this interview on a June afternoon marked by record-breaking heat, we discovered another probable reason the guitarist earned his nickname. Inside, flies buzzed over large plastic bags filled with household garbage. Tom sat in front of the cable-equipped television on a love seat reserved just for him, swilling beer out of a 40-ounce bottle and occasionally spitting into one of the rubbish heaps. Drummer Steve Hanford and guitarist Mondo and bassist Myrtle Tickner sat between garbage piles. I mean, Jesus Christ, dude.
So gross.
It's hilariously gross. It's out of a cartoon gross.
I was gonna say that. Yeah.
It's not real. How could that be real?
How could anyone? Yeah.
Man, I thought I knew disgusting fucks, but
no,
not to that level. So I guess that's one of the reasons he had the name. He's also morbidly obese, and I do mean fucking morbidly, because he did die.
Yes. And then is that like solely the reason they stopped touring was because of how fat he was?
I don't know if it was maybe because he just refused to tour at a certain point.
And then, yeah, I know he was like so heavy he had to play sitting down.
A lot of times he'd play sitting down. It could have been because I'm sure it was. Well, here's the thing: when you're
that was a factor.
When you're that big, everything else happens too. You're not just hard. You're not just having trouble moving. You're having trouble breathing and moving and staying active for long periods of time, and you get sick easier. Like everything happens when you're that big.
Yeah.
You're dying. You're fucking literally dying.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that was like the reason. But wait, oh man, I thought I had so. Where did they begin? I think they started in Portland, right?
Oregon. And then
I didn't read it in the notes. I just kind of vaguely remembered that from when I was a kid.
And then, Jerry met Pig at a Dickies show.
That's right, like 79, 80.
Yeah, like in the pit, and they were both this kind of like...
They were fighting each other, right? They were like just ramming into each other?
Yeah, they were like, who the fuck are these?
Yeah.
And then they would meet up 6 months later at like mutual friends.
Yeah.
And then they hit it off.
That's what happened. Yeah. Pig said to Jerry, he says, because he saw his band at a show.
That's what it was, yeah.
And he says, I remember you were at 999. You're that bearded goon. And then they hit it off, which is kind of beautiful. To go a little bit back to my personal history with the band. I was a big fan as a teenager in my, when I was knee deep into hardcore. And I saw them live once. And I've said this in past episodes where I said I was lucky enough to see them before Pig died. Mm-hmm. And it turns out my memory is bad and memories are super unreliable and stupid. And so what happens is like, okay, well, when was the show that I went to? And because I saw that he died in 2006, and I thought, wait, how old was I in 2006? It doesn't add up. Because I remember when I saw them and I was it's around 15 or 14 or something like that.
Like high school. Yeah.
Early high school. And so I was trying to find the specific show that I went to, like Googling it, and I found it, and the date was off. The show I went to was 2007. So obviously the Ghost of Pig Champion was there, and I did see him, and I'm not full of shit, and I wasn't just making things up in my head. But I was thinking, like, why do I have this vivid memory of seeing Pig up there and be like, holy shit, he really is that big, having the visual of him with his white shirt and his tiny little guitar and his giant massive body. Mm-hmm. And then I remembered that no, he was dead. That wasn't that show. What I was thinking of was the time I saw Rick Agnew. I was like, holy fuck, he got big. Different guy completely, but he looked the same.
Yeah.
Dying. Same vibe. Rick Agnew's fucking awesome, but God damn, he didn't look like he's doing too well these days. Or at least, I mean, that was fucking 10 years, 15 years ago. But so I didn't see them with Pig. He had already died, but I did see them, and I remember being already so cool because I went to see Lower Class Brats, which is a band I don't like, and a band I generally think is kind of blows. And I went with these other punk guys who liked all this 90s shit and all like the shit that I hated, basically the Casualties and the fucking and everything that came in later on, and it always felt to be very bland stuff. And not to shit on them, but I'm shitting on them. But Low Class Brats were in that ilk, and they were huge fans. I was like, I'll go to hang out, and then I saw on the bill Poison Idea. I was like, I'll go for Poison Idea.
There you go.
Poison Idea. All right, I'll see why not. And I go, and of course I'm the only one who's excited to see Poison Idea. Nobody knows who the fuck they are. They're all these like newer punk bands, and they go up, and you see how fucking old they are. For one, because you see Jared, he's also obese at the time, at least. I'm sure he's still big now, but he was pretty big.
You don't get to 1,300 with just one fat guy.
No, not even a Pig champion. No. Not even the champion of champions. So what happened was they didn't play a long set, but it was within minutes. They're on stage and he's dressed like shit. He's a giant, dirty, oversized, faded black t-shirt and shorts. Someone in the crowd spits on him, spits right on his shirt without missing a beat. He grabbed his shirt and licks it off. Yeah. I was like, I fucking love this guy. Yes.
That's just a normal day for him.
It's nothing to him.
Yeah.
It's fucking nothing to him. Oh, that was exciting.
Yeah.
It's a simple little thing, but it was like, all right, that guy lost. Whoever spit on him fucking lost that one.
Yeah. Finding out about his upbringing, I was like, oh, he's kind of like Mike, because he had like an affinity for like Finnish hardcore. And like you've talked about that all the time, about how you went
deep.
Like different country hardcore because you loved it so much.
Specifically Finnish hardcore.
Yeah.
And I didn't know this until Tom's notes. I'm like, I fucking love this guy. Like there's so much overlap, especially if those are on the Patreon. I post these Mike's Vault stuff where I talk about like the obscure hardcore stuff that I discovered as a teenager, and I dissect, whatever band or record. And a lot of it's Finnish stuff, and I go deep into how into these scenes, and I throw out like a bunch of names, and there's quotes here from the same fucking bands that I always cite.
You mean the Pogues?
Not the Pogues. He does cite the Pogues because he liked like they were doing something interesting. They were interesting. Check out that episode, by the way. But so here's a quote from Jerry. This is like from 2021, very recent interview. He says, "What's the quote?" he says, yeah, music is like that, and plus everybody puts their own spin on it. It's kind of like what the Pogues did from Ireland and the Scandinavian stuff, like say Finland and Sweden. You can almost tell what it's like being there, being where they come from, with the darkness, the cold, the booze, the vodka. He says, I just found something in some magazine the other day with Votavasco. He was posting something with, I think, the band Chaos, who I loved a lot. Had a back patch of them in high school. It's fucking... no one knew who that was, and I actually sewed on that back patch, hoping I would make friends that way. Like, someone's got to know this. It's massive. Like, come on, no one. Continuing the quote, he says, and this guy goes, "Oh, I never saw them with Paul on bass." And he goes, well, yeah, their bass player passed out when they were playing the show. Looking at these pictures, and I was staring at them from like 1981. I was like, okay, this is a horrible quote. I'm cutting out this entire section.
Yes.
It's a jumbled mess. Clearly, he was speaking, and it made sense when he was speaking it on paper. Makes no sense. It's done. It's axed. I'm keeping me saying this in, but it's done. It's out. You're done, buddy. You're out of here. But anyway, without going into the quotes, he cites Chaos, he cites Llama. These are all bands that I was like really into as a teenager. Llama was fucking so cool. Stupid, hilarious vocals, but goddamn, they're a cool band. But anyway,
yeah. Also likes cool shit you wouldn't expect a punk rock guy to like Queen, Roxy Music, and Sparks.
Yeah, he says the quote. He says, music was not so much escapism. I was a little kid. I was 9, listening to those bands. Stuff like that was glamorous. I could be glamorous in my bedroom, listening to this great music, or I could be heavy, listening to Sabbath, and I was dangerous. His first concert was Three Dog Night when he was 8, which is pretty badass. I'm not a big Three Dog Night fan, but when you're 8, that's pretty cool. This is fucking funny. He left home when he was 15, which is... I mean, I guess that wasn't too uncommon for that scene. He says, when I left home early when I was 15 because I got into punk rock, then I started scalping tickets to shows because that's how I made my money and survived. Invested $100 in Peter Frampton tickets because I knew it was going to sell out, and I started selling them and got my money back plus my rent. Rent was like $50.
Hey,
fucking $50, man! Oh my god! And then Tom adds here, this son of a bitch. He said the scheme fell apart when he bought a bunch of Yes tickets and nobody wanted them, which is hilarious. Like, I understand. I love Yes, but in the 80s, I get it. Whew. I get it. See, yeah, so I guess, yeah, and much like with everybody from that time period, going to see the Ramones kind of changed everything. That basically spawned the entire generation.
Yeah, another thing that I thought was interesting is when they started playing music, they sounded more like Public Image Limited.
That's right, yeah.
And then, kind of hearing the Black Flags of the world, the Germs and Discharge, they were like, no, this is what we want to lean into. And
it's also funny because he hits it off with Pig Champion, and they have like, I'm a Jerry guy through and through because all the stuff so this is there's a whole little scenario where they're trying to like, what are you into? What are you into? And what Tom said, Pig, whatever. He says, I like Menace, the Killjoys, Johnny Moped. And then Jerry's like, well, I like the Fall, Pill, the Raincoats. And I'm like, oh yeah, those are good ass bands. And then Pig's response was like, oh my God, that's horrible music. How can you? Like, how dare you? Those are fucking, come on. But another reason why I fucking love this guy. So he's naming the Fall and Pill and all this Finnish hardcore, which I didn't think anybody fucking liked, especially in the States. I mean, I never really heard any overlap. He fucking cites specifically No New York, which is one of the greatest compilations ever fucking made. Mm-hmm. Have you ever heard No New York?
No, I have not.
We've probably talked about it a while back.
I for sure have heard you bring it up. Yeah. Maybe even like a few podcasts.
Probably.
Episodes ago.
It was the Contortions or James Chance and the Contortions. It was all no wave stuff. It was, very artsy. It was like punk, but way more experimental artsy. Lydia Lunch was, her thing was in there, which was a Teenage Jesus and the Jerks. That was the band that she had on there. Was it DNA was another band that was on there. And there's one more that I'm blanking on, but it's a very fucking cool, very, very cool compilation. And I highly recommend it to pretty much everybody. But interesting thing about that scene and all the no wave stuff, because I remember a long time ago a quote from I think it was Ian MacKay, and he said that he went with like a lot of the DC boys up to New York to see all those bands, and he was like, "Oh, this sucks. Like they were all high as fuck. They were all just as pretentious and asshole-ish as like
they sound.
Yeah, basically, it's like this is not our scene. This is not for us.
Yeah.
Which I get, but like the music was still rad, I think.
Sure.
But anyway,
everyone likes a little pretentious stuff.
Last thing I'll know. This is a thing that Tom wrote that I another reason I fucking love Jerry. This is from Tom. He says, our Tom, not Tom. I just realized Pig Cham, his name is Tom. Mm-hmm. Our Tom. Okay, Pig is Pig. Tom is our guy. Tom says, Jerry A suggests that Sid Vicious was emblematic of punk lacking any real authentic danger. Hell yeah, brother. Germs and Black Flag and the U.S. hardcore movement gave him hope again for a while. This was after Poison Idea started when, according to Jerry A, they were more like Pill and Jammy. Yeah, it's perfect as Sid Vicious was as an image guy. It was all just that. The Germs, image. Black Flag lived it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Goddamn. But I've talked so fucking much.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. That's a lot of ground. Like we said, they sounded like Public Image Limited, and then Black Flag changed their lives, and
they got a rocking. They went a rocking, and there's like a lot of really fucking cool quotes in here. Like here's one. I mean, these are just fascinating stories because it was a cool little snapshot in music history. I think this whole scene, why I was so obsessed with it. Jerry said in the 2021 interview, he says, I remember in the 80s, the first place you'd see people sitting on the stage staring at the crowds was in LA and San Francisco. Not a shocker, by the way. They just had their back to the band and they'd be watching. And I remember seeing that one of the first times I went down to San Francisco and just going, what the fuck is going on? All these people, what are they expecting? Like a gunfight or something? And I remember when the Misfits played down there and they had that big fight when the guy got his head cracked open. The Misfits were like kicking him in the back and, saying, get the fuck off the stage. It was disrespectful. The Misfits at that time weren't gods like they are now, but it was disrespectful. Almost like he was saying, could you hold it down? I'm trying to sleep. Yeah. What a fucking diss to sit on the stage, not even looking at the band. And it's such a Danzig thing and Misfits thing to be like, to crack their heads open immediately, which is kind of fucked up, but also, what do you expect it from Jersey?
Yeah, maybe because I'm more of an introverted person, but the way punk rock evolved to when I started going to shows, I felt like there was energy at punk rock shows where it was less about the band and it was just more about the crowd and people jumping. I never liked it. I'm I paid my money to see a fucking band. I don't give a shit. Why are you guys trying to grab the fucking microphone? And
yeah, a lot of it was fans that were just hammered. I would get into a lot of that stuff, but I could only get into the stage diving and the crowd surfing when I was a big fan. Mm-hmm. If I didn't like the music, I would feel no compulsion to even get in the pit. This music fucking blows. Why am I going to exert any of my energy here?
Let alone risk injury. Yes,
exactly. The time that I remember the most of getting so into it and having the best time, just straight up having a innocent good time, was DRI.
Nice.
Where I was like, I'm just gonna fucking nonstop stage dive until I get hurt. Didn't get hurt, but it was fun. That was a very, very great show. It was a small club too, so you kind of really felt it a lot more. It's been a long time since that. I will never fucking do that now.
Oh no,
God,
100% get hurt on the first try.
Get hurt, and also I don't want to touch these fucking people. They're gross and sweaty. It's not for me. But yeah, so that leads us into the first record we're going to be covering in total. 9 records, 2 EPs, 7 albums. First 2 records are going to be EPs, and there's a lot of 7 inches in between and singles, but the first 2 EPs are the ones. It was in the middle of the scene. Those were a big deal. And well, I guess we should get into it. You ready?
I'm ready.
Oh boy. First EP came out in 1983. Last album came out 2015. And here it is, everybody. This is the first release. This is 1983's Pick Your King. Immediately. Oh!
Also very clever cover art and back art with Jesus and Elvis.
Yep. Pick Your King.
Pick Your King, yeah.
Love it. Yeah, we got to listen to the whole song. It's like 40 seconds long.
Yeah.
Best personal favorite.
God damn it, Mike.
Yep. Yeah. This is not only one of the best hardcore records ever made.
Yeah.
This is the perfect 12-minute elevator pitch. What's hardcore? This. I would honestly, like, maybe to this day, like, I didn't think about this until doing this episode. I don't think I would choose any record over this one to give to someone who's trying to find out what it is. Like, this is exactly what hardcore is, and it's done perfectly. Every song rules. It's so short. It's fucking flawless. This is one of the. It's an absolute classic.
So my reaction to this was very similar to my reaction to like Septic Death, or the first band that I always come back to was hearing Minor Threat for the first time, where I'm like, I know I like this, but it is so fast that like there's no way I can like really have strong feelings about it on a handful of listens.
It would, I suppose. I mean, it is a very niche thing in general to like music this fast and this short.
I will say on the song, the second track though,
it's an action.
I was surprised how decent the drums sound on this,
dude. It's actually one of the better produced records of the entire that whole era, because it's mostly drums and bass, really, because the guitar is there, but it's kind of buried. But it just feels heavy. The whole thing feels heavy, but it's not like where if the drums are too boomy with something this fast, it'll just overpower everything and make it into a muddy mess. It doesn't get there. It's not that. It's actually pretty balanced.
And yeah, like compared to like anything like the Germs recorded, like this sounds like the fucking Beatles.
Oh, it's incredible. Yeah, compared to that, obviously.
Self-Abuse stood out to me because
Self-Abuse. Fuck yes, that was my favorite growing up.
Yeah. Also, it's like the only song with slow parts, and I'm using that loosely.
Well, I Hate Reggae has some slow parts.
Also, yeah, when I heard that song, I was like, well, we got to the bottom of why Mike hates reggae and why he even more in common with Jerry.
Dude, he's my fucking spirit man. I've said that before. That makes no goddamn sense. I love I Hate Reggae, and I do hate reggae, but
it is a good song.
It is a good song. It's actually like, I thought it was going to be when I remember when I first heard that, I thought it was going to be like, oh, the jokey, oh, they're going to play around with reggae, but it really is a legitimately good song.
Although it is funny because they would go on to cover Jimmy Cliff's The Harder They Come. So that's clearly a joke song, like the next is clearly like a joke. Yeah. Like I don't believe maybe someone hated reggae, but
I think it was I'm sure, I don't know for sure, but if I had to guess, it would be a response to every punk band doing reggae.
That makes sense too.
And especially with
it was very, very tiresome.
It was pretty bad. And then also they have a history of doing things to like piss people off. Like, here is what we think of what you like. We'll get into it more later, but every fucking song here, so many of these just resonate from my teen years, but most of them have still stuck with me a lot. Obviously, Self-Abuse was one of my favorites. It's still one of the total fucking highlight. Incredible main riff, just so well written, weirdly well written. It's an action. This thing called Progress. I think it's the only song I remember them playing live.
Yeah,
like that's one just really sticks with me for some reason. Underage is under a minute and has two completely distinct songs in one. Fucking Pure Hate, which is the catchiest, happiest thing on here.
Also the longest.
At a minute 41 seconds. Yeah. Oh.
Also, I guess that's like, if you want to use the term, like that's like the big song off this one, I guess, right?
Yeah, I guess so. I believe so. I mean, it has to be one of the popular ones. I don't really rub elbows with fans so much, but I imagine it would be. It's super fucking fun. It is easily the most fun song on the whole EP. And then there's the stuff in between that is mostly inconsequential, but doesn't hurt stuff like Cult Band, where it's like, it's kind of kooky. It's more light, but it's so fast and it's so strange, and it's over immediately. And it has a really cool section where it's just drums and Jerry screaming, they cram it all into less than a minute. It's fucking so cool. What was it? Because there's not a whole lot to dissect here because it's just lightning speed.
You pretty much.
but the last thing to actually talk about is the closer, because it's the most brutal track there.
I would think that, yeah.
Yeah, and it's more mid-pace. It's the heaviest thing here. It's hardcore, but it's not the same type of hardcore as the rest of it. So it does feel like a closer. It's not like an epic closer. It's not their best closer, but it does feel like they kind of bookended each thing nicely.
Yeah, I think Think Fast and Self-Abuse were like my two favorite songs.
Self-Abuse is really hard to go wrong. I mean, goddamn, it's 54 seconds and it's so fucking good. Yeah, this is the perfect hardcore record. Yeah, this is why I love the genre. Like, even like I didn't think I would still love it this much after, because I haven't heard this in years. And then I just pressed play in the car.
I was only wanting you.
This is the one that I played on repeat. I had some other stuff, but I didn't play it religiously like this one. And I still remember when I bought this, and it was a bit disappointing because I was whatever age I was, early teens, probably 14 or something. And I think I was working with my mom. I think it was like her job, and I was also working the same gig. It was like sitting at it was a shitty, like at a county fair home show type thing. You're sitting in like this giant air conditioned building and trying to sell some stupid product or whatever. And I didn't do it. I just kind of sat there. And I'd bought this album on the way to there. And I thought, okay, I'm gonna be bored as fuck. I'll buy this album. I'll listen to it when I'm there. It'll be easier. And then I listened to it and I was like, it has been 12 minutes and it's now over. How many times can I listen to this fucking album within 8 hours?
Holy shit.
Turns out a lot. But it was like, oh, fuck. I mean, it's really good. I'm glad it's really good, but it's so goddamn short. So that's my first memory of this thing. But yeah, if passing interest in hardcore punk, this is the one. And there's so many great hardcore albums and EPs, but I don't know. This is just so... It's so exemplary. It's so indicative of what is a perfect example of it. I think you can't go wrong.
Nice.
That's personal favorite for me. But we got plenty more to go. So this is the follow-up. This came out 1984. This is record. I love this. Is my favorite title of all their records. Record collectors are pretentious assholes. Now this production I don't quite love as much. It's very reverby.
Kind of is, yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't feel as fat and impactful as the debut. It's still a cool opener though.
It's definitely more to like sink your teeth into.
It's more like standard hardcore.
Yeah.
Where the first EP was like, it was just a lot. This is, they play the riff a few times before they move on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like each song is like, no song goes below a minute here, whereas most of them did in the last one. And there's a couple of different ways to listen to this EP. Most
do original track listing.
Yeah, I went with the original track. Well, here's the thing, because they did reissue it with a different track listing, but that's not the version you're going to get streaming. Streaming, it's coupled with Pick Your King, as well as like some live stuff in between. And what that version is, it's the original EP, and then they tack on at the very end all the stuff they added for the reissue, which is the I Got It Right cover from the Stooges. Was it? Where is it? Time to Go? Not the Time to Go. What am I talking about? Diner Knees. And which one?
Typical.
Yeah, Typical, Diner Knees. You're right. Yeah. Laughing Boy, Typical, Diner Knees. I Got It Right. Thanks. And those are all cool. But the original EP is only 13 minutes long. It's the first, it's just 8 tracks. And I don't know, what'd you think?
I think I liked this one more just because I had more to, like I said, like digest.
Mm-hmm.
I think Legalized Freedom fucking slaps.
It's cool.
So good. Kind of taken aback by a song like Thorn in My Side.
Oh yeah.
Where I'm like, those bass lines are kind of creepy, and that's not
very cool.
Yeah, that's not like something I say about punk songs.
They do dabble with some weird, ugly shit. That's a very cool, strange bass line. It's kind of driven by that, and then it alternates between fast sections. A lot of it's a slow, fast, slow stuff on here.
Rubber Husband, you kind of have some like waltzy sections, a little bit.
Yeah, like so that's an example of what I feel about a lot of this EP, where I think the riffs have taken a hit. Like I don't think they're nearly as interesting or memorable, but the sections and the arrangements have gotten way crazier.
Yeah,
they're throwing a bunch of stuff like that. Rubber Husband has some insane sections in there that make the song really, really, really cool.
It is really like jarring to like hear that song like right after the previous Pick Your King.
Oh yeah,
too. Like holy shit, they same band.
Yeah, and it's like the songs are longer and the riffs may be more predictable, but the songs are less predictable overall. Because like before there was 40 seconds, they were verse, chorus, verse, we're done.
Yeah.
And then this is like it's not like overwhelming. It's not like mathy where there's like a million, riff salad stuff. But there is a lot more. And I think it's far more interesting.
I know it's a bonus track, but typical, I can hear why eventually they would dabble in thrash metal.
Very vaguely dabble, but they like hints in here and there.
Yeah.
And typical is they re-record it in a later album, but I like this version a lot more.
Yeah, I think this one works a little better for me too.
For sure. And this is the version that I had growing up. I remember the song as a kid. I still have the CD where it's on there. It was what I bought was originally it was a compilation called The Early Years. I don't remember what was on it, but I remember being like unsatisfied with it because I knew it was just a comp of a bunch of stuff, and I needed something more concrete and more like this was the album that came out this year. But that song was on there.
Last 2 cents on this album is like everything's so fast and brutal so far. I was surprised to hear Die on Your Knees. Like that's like the first one where it's like, oh, it kind of feels like we want like the crowd to sing along and be this like punk anthem.
It's also the longest track. It's almost 2:45, almost 3 minutes. Get
outside of the Stooges, yeah.
Oh, the Stooges go, yeah. It's but
doesn't count.
It doesn't count. There are moments where they get really anthemic and they have like some sing along stuff, but it's very rare.
Very rare.
And like we're just kind of glossing over Jerry's vocals because he is just a screamer, but I really like his scream, and he does change, and he does sound pretty fucking cool and rabid a lot of the time. Like he never sounds bad.
He has his mode, but on Don't Like It Here, it's like extra filthy.
He's great.
Yeah.
I really do love his voice more than most hardcore singers. Even to the very end, the very last album, like I still love his voice. Like
nice.
He never sounds bad. And then everything else is fucking chaotic, but it's easier to follow. I don't think the riffs are as strong, but the songs are crazier and actually far better constructed, I think. And there's more to chew on. But we move on to the first actual album. Oh boy, you ready?
I'm ready.
Hell yeah. This is 1986's Kings of Punk. So we're extra quiet on this round because Alex's phone exploded in the middle of playing it the first time. I don't even remember what we were talking about.
We were talking about how this song's 3 minutes.
Yes.
Pretty standard punk beat.
Yeah.
Real fucking fast.
Very fast, very fast.
It is a very fucking cool song, and it does go through some changes that we're not going to get to, but it goes through. The changes in this song are indicative of where they have evolved into at this point, across the board for the whole album. I think it's a fucking great opener.
Yes, it does a great job of setting the tempo. Also, I think maybe hearing this after like a 50-second song would feel weird. So I think putting it right up front.
Yeah, yeah. And again, it sets the stage for what we have now. This.
And then, yeah, hearing them, like, the guitar tone is just like, yeah, I don't know. I wasn't ready for it.
Yeah. It sounds great.
Very.
Dude, does Jerry not sound like a fucking Henry Rollins unhinged?
You could hear the black flag right there. Like, he could have been a singer for them.
All right. So this song goes through a bunch of changes.
And it's fucking rad.
Yeah, solid evolution here.
Let's see. What's going on? So this is a little quote from Jerry.
Also a random album for Southern Lord to reissue.
Yeah, which is pretty cool.
Because, yeah, usually they're about the metal, but...
These guys are highly influential, man, like to metal bands too, which is, and you could hear it, especially as it goes on. But Jerry says, I had to re-listen to it because they gave it to me to write the liner notes, and I really honestly haven't listened to it since it came out because, you know, this is on the reissue. He had to write liner notes. He says, because I originally listened to it and I was like, yeah, it's all right. I thought we just kept doing better records as they came out. But you go back and listen to this first shit and it stands up to stuff that's still out today. Like, all right. So, yeah. So, I mean, it does hold up. It's very cool. I never heard this album before. Which I kind of feel silly about because this is, I think, is one of their best ones. I don't think it's perfect, but goddamn, there's a lot of really awesome stuff on here.
Yeah. Ugly American.
Yep.
Good. Very galloping riff.
It's long. I don't love it. I like the chorus a lot, but I don't know if it's enough to save it for me because there's a lot of really cool galloping sections like other places too. Because even though that every song does do something pretty different.
Yeah.
Like because of Ugly American, I actually likes Subtract more. Is it Subtract? Is that what it's called? Yeah, Subtract.
Yeah, the one right after. Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't think I would like that song so much, but following Ugly American, it just feels right. I think and I think it's indicative of most of the album, where it's just paced pretty well. What the fuck else?
Cop and Attitude. There's one point in there that I queued up. Like, I love how angry Cop and Attitude sounds right around here. Like, the bass and
that bass is
and the drums and the screaming.
He's losing it.
Yeah.
Goddamn.
These, just fucking lunatics. I love a section like that.
That is, I think it's the best part of the song. I don't love the song so much because I find a lot of the other rest to be pretty generic, but that section rules.
Mm-hmm. Does kind of save it a bit.
What the hell? So there's moments on here that I thought they were going to lean into more as the albums went on that they didn't really, and I'm disappointed they didn't, because I think like the intro to Made to Be Broken is the poppiest thing they've done to this point. It's happy and up. Go ahead.
I also wrote that. You read it. You copying my notes?
I'm copying your notes. I actually didn't listen to any fucking album, dude. I lied. I don't even know who this band is.
No, it's insanely poppy.
Yeah, and it's almost like a 70s punk kind of way. Mm-hmm. And then of course, as usual, it just goes high speed before, hopping back and forth between the two. But I dig it a lot, and I think it's one of the fucking best songs. And what else? There's a lot of the other one that comes to mind is One by One, where it's just like they're throwing in these really melodic sections. It's not like super duper musical, but it's extremely melodic for hardcore punk standards.
Oh yeah, like it's almost like spoken word stuff.
Yeah, it's I love it, and I do like the high speed parts as well. And I mean, overall, I think side B is where the best songs are.
Side B is where it's at for you.
Yeah, because I mean, it's not that the side A is bad, but it's just I find it to be more of like the same, more just it's hardcore, but they're just sort of barely dipping the toe into more stuff. Aside from Lifestyles, the opener, which is pretty great, but yeah, like Tormented Imp is fucking heavy and driving. It's like the most metal thing on here.
Also, metal name.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and it sure it has more late Black Flag vibes, but it feels so different from every other song on the album that it sticks out a lot. And then the closer, fucking out of the picture, is insanely metal by hardcore punk standards, and I think it's awesome. I love those riffs, and then and again, one of the things that I thought they were going to lean into later that they barely did, they do on that song, is a lot of this guitar and bass playing the same arpeggios with each other, and it fucking feels so damn good. Of course, I don't have time stamps because I'm a fucking failure, but there's a lot of parts where it's like this arpeggio. It's just this little lead, and both Pig and who's in the band at this point? Pretentious was the bass player at this point, where they're both playing the same thing, and it fucking feels it's just so full and satisfying. I think it's one of the best songs in, and I honestly think it's their best closer.
There it is. Yeah, this is probably one of their better ones.
Yeah,
but because I am new to this, I think it'll probably take me a little while to revisit this one.
I think I will revisit this one pretty soon. I'm not soon, but like if
you got the
I need
you
got
the hardcore background.
Yeah.
This is
honestly, if it wasn't Pick Your King, this would be best. Like if Pick Your King wasn't perfect in my brain, it would be this one. I think it's fucking great. But we got plenty more. So. Are you ready?
No, because I'm like, what album are we on? And now I am.
Now here we go. This is following year. This is 1987's War All the Time.
This is like, feels way more heavy metal than it is.
Yes, this song especially. Well, that intro especially.
Yeah, then
it gets very
hardcore. Yeah.
You could already tell, I'm sure, that they have a new drummer because this guy is much better.
I think he's like one of the more tenured drummers with them, right?
Yeah, he's been on the most albums, I believe.
Yeah, Steve Hanford.
Steve, the Slayer hippie Hanford. This is a cool song. I wonder if we're going to get to the biggest change. Here we go.
We've had like three little genre changes.
I know. And these military drums are pretty badass. Super gallopy. All right, but we're not gonna get to it. But the big shift is now
they're double pedaling. They got some double, and that song specifically a little bit later they start double pedaling, and it sounds good. These new line. Go ahead.
Also, I might catch some flack for this. I don't know how fans view these albums. Oh. I know my friend John likes this album, but this is my least favorite.
Really? This one? I didn't mind this one so much. I do like it. I didn't love it, but I think it's pretty cool. It's all right.
I think for what they do, I really don't think they have a bad album.
I think they have a bad album. I think they have two bad albums, and we're not there
Interesting.
Yet. Yeah.
But this one, I had fatigue. It stuck out to me the least. I like the opening, and I like the closer, and there's a crazy song with some old-timey piano. Ritual Chicken, which I'm for.
Dude, fuck yes. And
I'm for that. Yeah.
Complete novelty song. It's just old-time piano, and then it's over.
But everything else is just so, like, I'm just lost.
Yeah, it's definitely moving forward, but not in the way I was hoping. So what I got from this album, and it's a thing that I don't like. First of all, I think the pacing is dog shit, and it's like all the things that Kings of Punk was dabbling in, like the arpeggio stuff, the melodic stuff, the poppiness, where it felt like they were heading in the direction like they were going to like meld these things together. It just turned into, we're doing a bunch of hardcore songs, a couple weird things by themselves, back to hardcore, and it feels super segregated. And it doesn't feel like they really ingrained anything. It just feels like they just stuck to what they knew. And maybe it's because, well, they also added Vegetable. Eric Olsen, they call him Vegetable, on second guitar. And then they got a new drummer. So I'm assuming maybe that was, like, they're not going to be the most... the chemistry was off now.
Sure.
Maybe not chemistry, but like
they're
now
still building. Yeah,
exactly. They're working with new people. They're probably not. They're not picking up where the last one left off. They're starting again. And I think this is the last album that Vegetable is going to be on until the very last one. So he's only here for like one and done, I think. But what am I saying?
They cover Motorhead song.
They cover the song.
Song Motorhead.
What I just think is so pointless because they don't do anything to it. It's just the song. It's not as good as the original. It's a straight cover. I think it's pretty much a kind of negligible.
Push the button. Very Black Flag to me.
I do like it. It's so interesting.
Good.
It's odd. It's slow and ugly. It's not the most amazing thing ever, but I really appreciate it. But I do get not liking this one. This is the album they officially released Typical on.
Yeah.
And it's full of double pedals, full of it.
Yeah, which I think is interesting because, like, on paper, I'm like, double pedal version's going to be better. No, I like the other version better.
Yeah, the version is better. It's still a good song, but
a song like Nothing Is Final, I'm just like, oh man, I just feels like it was dragging on my soul.
Yeah, that's when I was starting to question, like, are these good hardcore songs, or am I just bored? Or these bad hardcore songs, or am I just bored?
Yeah.
That one's not that great. It's not, and then what is it? Fucking Hot Time, where it starts out so fucking cool and then immediately goes to the most generic punk riff ever.
Yep.
And then at 3 minutes, it doesn't do anything within that whole time.
It's just there.
Yeah. And the last thing I'll mention is Murderer, which I don't like either. And like that's the thing is, like, there's some strong tracks on here, but ultimately a letdown from the direction I thought they were going to go, and like it feels like a step backwards.
Well, I'm not totally crazy then.
No, I didn't hate it, but I was like, all right, this is not.
But then obviously, if you got two that you don't like,
I don't like. Yeah,
that's kind of insane to me. Because,
really?
Like, yeah, I don't love this, but like I said, I guess they have different phases, but I always feel like the music is genuine.
Oh, 100% genuine.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, I don't really feel like they have a bad album.
They don't really have terrible. Even the one I gave worst to isn't really a bad album. It's just the one that bores me the most, and I think has like the oddest choices. And so that's the thing with, like, when you're really, really into a genre, a subgenre, you can kind of, again, like the way I can't explain to you what a bad hardcore song is, I just feel it.
Yeah.
Like if you're just kind of like lukewarm, it's like, I don't see what's wrong with this. It's kind of like it's not unlike the other one. It's still fine. Where I'm like, no, dude, this one blows. Like I don't know how, but I just don't like it. So a lot of the rest here, it just feels it's getting more and more generic. Like I've heard these songs before by a million other punk bands. Like I know where these are going, and whereas like Pick Your King, no one had songs like sound like that. Like maybe in the same intensity, in the same speed or whatever, in the same vibe, but the actual riffs, those were their riffs. Those were Poison Idea riffs. Those were no one else's.
Should have done an album full of Ritual Chicken.
That would actually be spectacular, and it would have. They would be just as homeless if they did that.
Right?
Be in the same spot. But Alex's worst and least favorite. We got still a whole bunch more to go, and a whole bunch more to talk about.
Insane.
What?
It's fucking insane. I thought we were.
There's so many. But now, no. Before we move on, there's a very fascinating thing that happened around this time period that I have to talk about because it's so fucking funny and interesting. So around this time, there was a compilation that they put out called "Get Loaded and Fuck." And it was so this is from Tom, our boy. He says in 1988 the band released a cassette compilation, Get Loaded and Fuck. A year later they renamed the record to Ian MacKaye and released it with a picture of a spread anus. Who did it better, Poison Idea or Typo Negative? Check out that episode, by the way. He says obviously it wasn't MacKaye's anus. He was not pleased about the name check. So this is a quote from Ian from an interview from our boy Mark Prindle, which we gushed about on our Jesus Lizard episode. Mark Prindle's old record reviewing website, which is still around, and I mean he hasn't touched it in over 10 years, but it's still fucking a very fun read.
Archival purposes.
And it's still great. So this is what Ian said when he was asked about it. He says, I don't know those guys. I never met those guys or had not met them at the time. The guy that was distributing it contacted me and said, we just wanted to let you know that we weren't going to hide this from you. We did this and we're not trying to hurt your feelings. It's really aimed at the people who think you're a god. I just thought this is so ridiculous, but it does actually make me feel bad because it's just such a pointless exercise. Furthermore, they did not understand, and I think that people who often do this sort of tactic, like, well, it's not really about you, it's about the people who worship you, this sort of thing, what they don't understand is that by assailing me, by throwing stones at me or my name, if they don't think that they are injuring me, then they must think I'm impervious. They must think I'm a god. So in fact, they are reinforcing the notion that I am not a human being because they are taking shots at me and expecting me not to fall.
Yeah.
Oh boy. How fucking poignant and
that is
spot on is that?
The most Ian quote I have ever heard by him.
I fucking love that guy so much.
Yeah.
He's just,
I could like, when you were reading it, I could like hear his voice.
Yep.
Saying it in my head.
With his speech impediment and all that. Goddamn. He's the best. He's the fucking best. Anyway, now we're on to a very influential album. This is like the album that everyone loves or something. This is 1990s, Feel the Darkness.
What the fuck is going on?
What's all this?
What's all this then? I had to do a double check to make sure it was like the right, because sometimes there's bands with similar names and they get lumped together on the streaming services.
Sure do.
And I had to do like a double.
This can't be the same Poison Idea, can it? Oh, it can. Now, keep this riff in your brain.
Okay.
Because it is a note-for-note rip of I Hate You by Verbal Abuse. It is just I Hate You, but faster. Even Jerry is a different guy.
Yeah, sounds more not subdued, but
yeah.
And then that's so jarring to hear those big punk rock. Whoa.
The woes. Wasn't expecting the woes. There we go.
Also, this album cover, I thought it was Alice Cooper.
I thought it was Alice Cooper too.
But even better, Tiny Tim.
Tiny Tim. All right.
Yeah, it was taken from the back cover of his first album, and they just added a gun.
Also, I'll be fucking lame because this is all new to me. Best personal favorite. I
don't get it, dude.
I think it's a good entry. I think it's a good entry point for most people, not crazy people like you and Jerry.
All right.
For most people, after listening to everything, because I was like, dude, what do I want to give these accolades to? And I'm just like, I get it. Like, this is an easy listen.
It is.
There's variety here.
There is.
In ways, I could see how someone who loves Pick Your King is just totally turned off by this.
I'm not totally turned off by it. I just think the writing has taken such a fucking massive hit because I don't hate these types of songs at all. I think it's a good album. I just don't understand why this is the one. Like, I don't see why it's special. And I think other albums are far more interesting, but like the opener, for example, like take away the fact that it's just I Hate You by Verbal Abuse. Like, note for note, the exact same riff.
Yeah.
it's not a good riff, like in my opinion. Because even the song "I Hate You" by Rebel Beast, I don't think that's a good song. I love the song because of the lyrics, and it's grown on me over years. So I like it just because of that. So hearing that riff that I didn't even like when I first heard it from them, played by someone else in just a different way, like what the fuck? I don't love it.
So before this is like hardcore stuff before this album. After this is real interesting. So in my head, and why I think people are kind of attracted to it, is it's just like the like core of the band's existence, I feel like.
It is pretty authentic. It's very ferocious, and a lot of it is very fucking cool. I don't have like any peaks on here where I'm like, I love this, but there's some stuff that I was really glad and relieved to hear, like "Gone for Good."
I was gonna say, it's funny how I was getting fatigue, and then "Gone for Good" like dips their toes back into like that, like pure hardcore stuff, and it was an oddly like welcoming feeling
because it's just a better song. That's what kept me refreshed.
Going back to what you say, I don't know how to describe it, but I know that's it.
You hear enough songs in a row where like, I'm getting bored of this. Maybe I just don't like these types of songs. And then you hear one that's good, like, oh, those were just bad. And you can't tell the difference until you hear one that's really fucking good. That one's great. And I love it extra because that's the type of shit from Kings of Punk that I wanted more of. That arpeggiated shit where it's more melody. It's still hardcore as fuck, but more melody. And it's done really well.
And then this has also the only song I've heard of them by way of a cover. Pantera covered "The Badge" for the fucking Crow soundtrack.
I didn't know that was the context. I knew they covered them.
Yeah, and like I haven't heard that Pantera song in so long, but I guess they covered it in such a way, like when "The Badge" started, I was like, I know this song from somewhere.
Yeah.
And I thought sometimes you go on the wikis and they'll say, oh, so-and-so's covered this. That was not on the wiki, so I had to like
dig deep.
Yeah, not super deep. Put it in the Google machine. Boom, Pantera, "The Badge" came up.
First of all, that song is fucking great. Super heavy. And in certain areas, there's really solid bass lines, and that's we'll talk more about like the lineup of this one in a second. But speaking of covers, in 2018, Metallica cover "Taken by Surprise."
Holy shit.
Which is wild.
I guess it's not that wild. Like, when you think about like the Garage, like the bands they picked for Garage Inc.
The best bands they picked for Garage Inc. Or I suppose.
But it's like all over the place.
I'm thinking of Disc 2, which was all released earlier. All those were released in like the early 90s or late 80s rather. But Taken by Surprise, it has a lot of fun moments and it has some cool guitar work, but it feels so much like 90s punk, and it's like really poppy and it has the walking bass lines. It's just not my bag. I on first listen, I was like, oh, people like this one. This is a song people like. And sure enough, Metallica fucking liked it.
There you go.
Yeah.
I love the intro for Plastic Bomb. Just because it's so out of left field. The things I really like on here are Death of an Idiot Blues.
Oh, dude. One of Jerry's best and funniest slobbering performances. I love him on that song.
It's his performance. You get the best of like punk and thrash on there.
Yeah, that might be my favorite song on the album, and it frustrates me because there's this one section that it recurs repeatedly throughout the song. It's part of a giant riff, a giant long riff, and it's so fucking good. And they play it like 2 bars, and then they move on to another part of the riff. And I'm just craving that. It's like
more.
It's a palm muted double picking riff. It's very thrash sounding, but it's such a fucking well written riff that I'm just craving a whole song of that, and it moves on immediately. But it's such a fucking great song. God damn it! I'm thinking about the riff right now. I love it so much.
But yeah, I think the back half of this album is the most interesting. Alan's on Fire is just like, again, this band, once in a while, you'll get these weird, interesting bass riffs where you're like, should that be in a punk band?
Ooh, you got yourself a timestamp?
I do have my, if it wants to fucking... And here we go.
Here we go. Oh yeah, that's an arpeggiated power chord.
It's just not something I can point to in a lot of punk songs.
Yeah,
And maybe it had, but for whatever reason, the way this is produced, like that,
it's produced really well. You can really hear
The fucking bass parts.
it really sticks out to me. And it's not like a guitar solo or anything,
No,
but
no.
it is a cool touch on that song.
It opens it up. It opens it up, and it's a simple arpeggio. It's just a power chord, but it's fucking. It opens it up. Yeah, there's something about that song that I don't even know why I like it, because I didn't feel it was much more interesting than the rest. Just stuck with me. Just stuck with me for some reason.
I love how heavy Nation of Finks is.
I think that was when I was getting fatigued. That was
You got fatigue on that one?
Yeah, I mean, I do love the drumming there. The double pedaling sounds fucking fantastic on that song. But I wasn't too wowed by any of the riffs.
And then the title track is cool to me. They do like military marching. I don't want to call them riffs, but you get the idea.
Dude, that fucking song it's the lengthiest song ever. It's 6 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
It's unlike anything they've done basically before or since. It's really ugly. Like you said, the fucking military is military drums in there. It's maybe not. They've actually sounded more military than that song, but that's still a pretty military sounding song. Jerry on there is almost channeling some fucking Mike Patton-esque barks and spoken word stuff.
Yeah.
It's real low like this. It's fucking, it's not pleasant, but it's one of the most interesting songs easily.
It's not pleasant, but this is not a fucking pleasant band.
Not a pleasant band, but it is a very fucking cool band. It is a very cool album. I do like the album. I just don't see why it's like the one.
So yeah, I would. Yeah, for newbies, and if you're not like a purist, I totally get starting here. It made sense to me after listening to everything. I was like, okay, yeah, this is the one I could like most easily this like throwback on.
It's also the most welcoming for anybody into metal.
I think that I'm this more aligned with metal. So
and they do dabble with other hard rock and metal stuff later on, but this is the most like fluid and like,
executed the best.
Exactly, it's the most natural sounding.
There is another album that I can't wait to talk to about, but yeah.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, I have an idea.
Yeah,
but
you know what it is.
I don't know that I know what it is, but I believe I know what it is, and I think I know what it is.
Yeah.
But so this is the beginning of another lineup, and I believe this is another very short-lived lineup. So. Like I said, what's his name? Vegetable was gone immediately. They replaced him with Adeline. How do you say that last name?
I'm not even going to try.
Hold on. Strike 9. No shit.
I feel like
Adeline Strike 9. There we go. It's a fake name. That makes more sense. Yeah, Adeline Strike 9. Is that a girl?
Who knows?
Adeline?
Who knows?
That sounds like a girl name.
I feel like that name could go both.
But especially since it's clearly a fake name.
Yeah.
This person, I think, is only on this album.
Okay.
And then they got Myrtle Tickner on bass, whatever the hell their real name is. And they still got, Steve and Stephen Pig and Jerry. But now we are on to the follow-up.
Yep.
And we got another lineup change for this album as well. So here we go. This is 1992's Blackout, Vacant.
This is
Some Guitar Hero shit.
crazy. And like are those like timpani tongs?
It sounds like kettle drums or something.
Yeah. Also, I love the artwork they have on Wikipedia for this. It's like
Yeah.
comic book type art on albums. I think it's cool. So
It's also the wrong cover. That's the cover.
Oh, that is the correct. Okay,
So
never mind.
you're seeing on YouTube, if you're watching the video, the real cover is just the font.
Yeah.
But the version on Wikipedia for some reason is the cover of the Punish Me single. Which
Okay.
It's a very masculine a woman in a bikini leg locking a man. It's a comic book drawing. rendition, whatever. It's very funny.
That makes more sense.
Yeah. So, aside from that intro, this is a straightforward ass hardcore song.
I would agree with that.
I don't think it's a bad song at all, but
it's not anything like super special or anything.
Yeah, I almost gave. This is the one I don't second least like. I like. How do you say that?
Also, don't like runner up worst.
Runner up worst for me personally. Yeah.
I don't love this one. I think it's actually one of their weakest. It's not in my bottom 2 though.
Yeah. It's in my bottom 2. Yeah. Also, just like the previous album's so diverse, and then
it's a bit it's a letdown for sure.
This one feels like they're kind of just resting on their loins. A
lot of hardcore on here. A lot of just regular hardcore on here. Whereas we were getting some thrashy stuff. Maybe not full thrash, but we're getting some different shit.
Yeah, and then you got a song like Forever and Always, which, oh my God, I don't know what it is. They're kind of dabbling in like old time rock and roll, but
it's hard rock. It's bar hard rock.
Yeah, it's still Poison Idea, but
and here's the thing, it's straight up hard rock. I don't love the song, and I don't think it's actually that bad of a song. I don't think it's amazing, but I do appreciate the diversity and the fact that I didn't see that coming. And I think it could be a lot worse, and I think it does get a lot worse when they dabble with hard rock.
Yeah.
I think that's actually almost best case scenario for them fucking with hard rock is that song.
Yeah. Best song on here is Crippled Angel because it's fucking weird.
That one? Really?
I like the fucking piano on that song.
It has great... in the outro, those synths are fucking awesome. And
that did it for me.
I wish they would do it more. I wish they had
agree.
It. And it was disappointing that they didn't have it more. But goddamn, that chorus riff is so bland.
Yeah.
Bland. Oh my God.
I guess because I just wasn't thrilled with like Smack Attack. Also, it's just like just kind of generic. And then so by the time I got to Cripple Angel, I'm like, there's actually some like weird, interesting things on here. I'll take.
Smack Attack is pretty. It's definitely something we've heard before. It's not bad, but there's nothing unique about any of those riffs. And the same with Ice Picks at Dawn, which is more average hardcore, but it has like they do this periodically. They'll throw in samples of like dialogue taken from, I'm assuming, TV shows and movies, and that stuff is honestly the most interesting part of that song. I don't care for that one much either. But
the other interesting thing on here to me isn't even like a proper song, is Amy's theme.
Oh yeah. Oh hell yeah! I mean, fucking Mothers of Invention, like,
dude, yeah,
it's insane. It's straight up Zappa shit.
Yeah, it sounds like children playing on children's instruments. But it works in like this weird, creepy way.
In a weird, novel way. The beginning of it is the shit you hear at Disneyland.
For sure.
And then it turns into like Mothers of Invention.
Then it digresses.
Stuff. Yeah. And then the last thing I actually do kind of like is Drain, which is it's not really like it's not really anything amazing, but it's really fun. It has these bright guitar melodies in it, and I think I only enjoy it because they do it so infrequently where they go poppy. Like if the whole album was poppy, I would fucking hate it. But throw one in
here and there, yeah.
I think they actually do that pretty well. And I also don't mind Punish Me so much. It's basically a more aggressive 70s punk kind of song.
I give it a slight thumbs up for the cover art on the single.
It's pretty cool.
And then our old friends, the New York Dolls, and just cut. Look, this version doesn't really do anything different. But I like Poison Idea shtick more than I like the New York Dolls shtick.
Yeah.
So I like this version.
Of Vietnamese Baby. The cover of Vietnamese Baby. It's the closer for some reason.
Also, he still pronounces it weird.
Vietnamese Baby.
So he took my favorite part of the song.
Yep.
And then did the dirty Poison Idea. I'm like, great cover song just for that.
It's fine.
He kept the best part of it.
He did keep the best part of it. And if you haven't heard our New York Dolls episode, you shouldn't watch it. We fucking hate them. But and still, it's not going to sway me. I still don't like the song.
No, it's not going to sway you, but just having that history. With
At least
the
it's
New York
funny.
Dolls.
At least it's still funny. At least it's still fucking funny.
Also, if you guys have never heard that song and you like people pronouncing things weird, it's a fun time.
I mean, a lot of New York Dolls stuff is very funny just because of David Johansen. But Vietnamese Baby is the top. It is top.
I don't even think I've ever heard anyone pronounce it
because it's wrong.
It's wrong.
It's so insanely wrong.
It's not even like a caramel thing.
No. Nammies?
Nammies.
Yeah, I like this album a lot more on first listen than on second. Like second listen, I was like, all right, this is it's not really, because the parts that are leaning more into the hard rock, which we didn't even talk about, your next is where it goes south. Like where I like Forever and Always, I didn't mind how they did there. Your next is where it's like, oh, this is like motorcycle rock, and it's all right. But yeah, they're going in a direction. Don't love it, but we have a couple more, only a few more. And this next one is the only one not streaming.
I don't know why.
I'm not sure why, but well,
Southern Lord. This is the one you guys need to.
Sure,
yeah,
let's do that. Definitely, we're in for some shit. This is
crank it down so I can.
Oh, you just scrub through it.
Yeah.
We're doing this from YouTube because that's
okay.
All right, so this is 1993's "We Must Burn." Hey, crank it a little bit.
Hell yeah!
This song is pretty good.
We've just gone full thrash.
This is pretty thrashy.
And I was like, this is fucking cool, but can they keep it up? Because the last album was so lacking.
Yeah.
It's nothing new. At best regrets we have to come. Animals on the kill. Leave the rest don't stop unless we have all their fill. Don't ask me why.
Oh man, so Rollins like that.
It is.
You always wanted to hear.
God, man, I fucked up. I gotta look at Tom's notes more thoroughly before we move on to the next albums.
Say nothing at all as the last page is told. But you must understand, I live to be paid. Don't ask me why.
All right. Let's talk a little bit.
I fucked up and I moved on too quickly because there's some crazy stories that Jerry has around the time period of the last album. But before that, Worsley's favorite.
Really? You're fucking crazy. You're fucking crazy.
This one has so much that I hate on it. And I think the length of so many of these songs is egregious. The parts that land, I think, are pretty cool. But ultimately, God
I almost gave this personal favorite.
That's wild.
I think this is fucking cool.
I find it to be the most boring. I don't think any of it's horrific. I just find it like that's super boring, and I'm checked out. Both listens, and they were separated. Each listen was separated.
You're crazy.
I don't love this album, not even a little bit. I will never return this album. And one thing I will note that's very fucking interesting, I wasn't expecting.
If someone reprints this album, I will buy it and rub it in Mike's fucking face.
Endless Blockades for the Pussyfooter is a fucking Gizm cover.
Oh shit! Is that? Because I was listening to that, I was like, this could be a fucking Venom song.
Dude, that's from Gizm. It's a Japanese hardcore punk band. Someone requested Gizm recently, which is wild.
I've never listened to them before, but I like that song. This because I thought it was like very Venom-like.
I'll tell you right now, you're going to like the original more.
I might.
Because the reason why I say that is because the original is more Venom-like.
My interest is real peaked right now.
The vocals, the Gizm vocalist is
hell yeah.
It's harsh. I do like the original better. It's still a cool song though. But some of the crazy shit. So this was a reference in to one of the tracks from the last album with the song "What Happened to Sunday." Jerry said that it was about him blacking out for days at a time, and one of his citations or one of the stories he has. He says, one of the last shows we played at Satyricon, we were playing and I woke up behind the drum set. I fucking looked up and I'm like, are we in Texas? Where the fuck are we? I'm looking around and didn't know where I was. And we were on stage playing. I wake up, it's a confusion. That's not good. Like, he says at that time, it was everything, drugs, everything. I went to a fucking coma when I had to stop doing anything for a week. And then I woke up in a hospital and they said, you have everything in your system. They were naming the shit off. Everything except marijuana. They asked, why didn't you have that? I'm trying to get a job. And they didn't think that was too funny. It's very funny.
It is very funny.
Last thing, which is a pretty big moment, fucking wild moment. He says, so I don't do that anymore because you can't. I haven't done any drugs for 18 months. He shaped up after an incident in 2012 when he had 3 toes removed from his right foot as a result of treading on broken glass and slicing the bottom of his foot while drugged out in Portland. His legs swelled up and became infected.
Somehow I missed that because later on, I won't get into the details, but he has a quote about he might have to amputate his foot.
Yep.
I assumed it was due to the drugs, the alcohol, and the weight. And somehow I missed that. I didn't realize it was fucking negligence.
Straight up negligence.
I mean, you drag your foot through that stuff because of drugs and alcohol.
Yeah. He was him. He was just fuck. I mean, but he didn't think it was an accident. I think it was like, I thought I was. Merely thought it was a byproduct.
Or,
not so
something
much,
bought on by...
Yeah, not literally an event, which is fucking wild. And then there's also like some interviews with Pig Champion and Steve around that time period, which is I didn't realize they were really big in Germany.
Yeah.
And then like in Europe too, they're a lot more popular there, which is interesting. But it's also fascinating because how bitter and like not into the 90s music as they were.
Oh yeah, they fucking
they were, and
they're
fucking
just fucking grizzled, angry old men.
It's hilarious. It's so funny. I disagree with almost all of it, but it's so funny reading the Pig Champion quotes, and I'm going to read them because it's fucking hilarious. He just shits on every single grudge band.
I do agree with the last band he hates,
and I do,
but
too.
Everything else.
And I do too. But so this is a quote from Pig. He says, "Soundgarden to me sounds like Led Zeppelin without the fucking solos. Nirvana is probably the only band of any of these bands that broke through that is worth the shit. At least their punk rock songs all sound like punk rock." And then Steve says, and they can write a song. At least there's a tune there, not just a mindless fucking grunge crap. And then Pig says, like Pearl Jam, they really suck. And then it gets so much worse. And Steve goes on to say, girly music, it really gets my goat. That asshole singer of theirs, who they just scooped off some fucking beach in Venice, California. Now he's being heralded as the new fucking Jim Morrison. I mean, give me a break. Somebody ought to drop a couple sheets of acid in that guy's drink. Just because he's got a nice chiseled chin and nice hard pecs doesn't mean he's fucking shit. That guy's a fucking pussy. That's half of it right there. You want to get on MTV? You have to have a nice chiseled chin, hard pecs, and the girls love you.
These fucking guys.
Meanwhile, they're saying this surrounded by garbage and flies, which is the funniest visual.
Also, I don't like Pearl Jam, but I'm gonna assume Eddie Vedder's a good dude.
I don't fucking care. I don't care.
Yeah.
Maybe he is, maybe not. Like, I don't like his music. I don't really give a fuck about him regardless of that. But the same way I don't give a fuck about it if remember Soundgarden or fucking horrific rapists and murderers. I love their fucking music. And so I stand by Soundgarden. It's just this is the way it is. And these guys were like, I don't know if like, because that interview was taken from 92.
Yeah.
So it was in the middle of all of that. And they were also banned from a bunch of clubs in Portland because of who they are and what they do. So I don't know if it was a lot of just bitterness of the time period, or if later on they'll be like, those bands are actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't know. Mostly because he's dead now, but you don't know.
Anyways, back to this awesome.
Also, last note, I already disagreed entirely with Pig Champion's taste in music already.
Yeah.
So none of that is surprising to me at all. At all.
That's true. That's true.
But back to this album.
Fucking awesome one-off thrash album. The most thrash.
So boring. So I mean,
Let me tell you.
when I stop, how forgettable does it get?
No, that song's bad.
Oh,
that song's bad.
Okay,
I'm not gonna fight you on that. But like Hung Like a Savior is like excessive thrash shredding that I would expect from a band like Slayer, but not Poison Idea.
Hung Like a Savior is actually really fucking cool. It's actually very good. And the solos, I mean, they're real hard rocky, but goddamn are they not well done. They're legitimate solos.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good song. Yeah.
It's not the last fucking anytime it's like new guitar.
Oh,
tone, I'm
right.
like,
yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, that has really good effects, really good dynamics. It has a lot of great buildup. Just so happens to have the lamest and blandest and most boring riff they've ever done.
Yeah.
It is a insanely shitty riff, just with amazing arrangements and great effects and production.
I'll take it.
I can't.
Yeah.
That's just the difference there. Like, I see what it has. I just don't like the way it's written. What else? Jesse's Arm is another more like I like a lot of the bass lines in there. They're really Doorsy, you know? Like,
yeah,
which is interesting.
Autocorrect fucked me over. I don't know what I was trying to say here, but another example where they use some like big tom sounds and yeah, I dig Jesse's Arm. And then oh man, I actually have like a few.
There's some stuff to talk about for sure.
Slumlord, the like whisper vocals are kind of funny, but like the surf rock guitar stuff.
Oh man, it's fucking 5 minutes, and so many of the riffs are just so generic. I've heard these so many times. And it's so long.
It's not the Cramps. It's better.
It is a million times better than the Cramps. It is so much better. I listen to this fucking every day.
And then, yeah, nice little, I believe the closers, Religions and Politics, part one.
Yeah.
I don't know where part two is, but
No, part two.
Yeah, I think that's the first time they use guitar or acoustics.
It is, and it is the best song on the album, and
It's real nice.
That is what I wanted from the band progressing. Like, that song made me so sad because, well, it's an instrumental. It's a very short instrumental, acoustic, really dynamic closer, but that's the experimentation that I was craving, where they're moving in a direction. I want to hear them just fucking trying shit. And they dabbled in metal a little bit, and then that's it. And that's the only acoustic pretty thing we get basically until the very end. And it's just like, man, it could have been more. And it's not just that they went acoustic for that thing. It's actually well written. It's a good fucking song.
Hell yeah.
It's a minute and a half long, but it's still fucking cool.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I think the novelty of this just fucking worked for me in a sea of hardcore punk, and I was not expecting any of it really. And I think there's some cool sounding stuff.
There is.
It still comes in at a cool 33 minutes.
That's one thing we didn't even mention. Their longest album is 36 minutes.
Yeah.
Their longest.
Yeah.
And the shortest is, of course, 12 minutes. But my worst least favorite, there's just too much boring on here. The stuff, even though I appreciate how it's being performed, the writing just isn't there. So much of it just feels very generic and tried and true, and we'll try and unshoot, I guess, because it's been done to death. That's how I feel about a lot of it.
It is weird that, like, to me, it's not like a like My War type thing where I'm like, oh, this like transcends boundaries, and where like My War is a good sludge metal album for people who like sludge metal, but then it's like this is like purely in the context of the band that it works for me.
Oh, okay, yeah. This I couldn't recommend.
Like, yeah. I wouldn't be like, oh, dude, you like metal? Check out
this weird, crazy thing that this hardcore punk band did.
Because it's weird and crazy in the context of Poison Idea.
It is their weirdest album for sure, which I actually do love it in a sense for it being the weirdest one. Like, obviously, it's second weirdest. It's the second weirdest one to me. It's the second. It's for it being one of their weirdest albums. I do appreciate it, but yeah, just the rest I couldn't get behind. But after this, they go on
there's some more trials and tribulations.
Boy, howdy, yes. There's a long hiatus. Pig decides to not tour anymore because it's hard. So Jerry has some quotes here.
I also I don't know if, but they basically like played like one of their last shows in '96.
That sounds familiar. Yeah. So Jerry says, in regards to the dark personal experiences fueling the band's music, he says, yeah, well, that's the kind of stuff we grew up around. Shocker. He says, Tom had a little stable family life than me. But he definitely had his share. Now that he's gone, because this was, after he died. Now that he's gone, I could say he became a drug dealer in high school, and that's pretty much what he did all his life. He had, of course, Poison Idea Records financed through that, and that's my life, what I was exposed to, too. So we always had that element of that stuff that happens. Somebody ripped you off, you got to get a gun and fucking take care of business. That's the band. That's what the fucking band is. Like, it doesn't get more real than that.
Yeah, all the music's literally fueled by drugs, financed by drugs.
And drugs and violence and injuries and fucking comas and obesity and garbage.
Especially obesity.
Especially obesity. There were literally 1,300 pounds collectively.
Fucking shit.
Oh my God. So later on, they reunite in 2000 to record new stuff. And so yeah, Jerry and Pig reconvened, and it was released. The next album was released in 2006, but it was released after Pig Champion had died. He just says he was found dead in his home. I'm sure it was related to his many lifestyle choices.
Imagine if it wasn't, though.
Fuck, man. And some guy just shot him.
Something crazy, yeah.
That would also make sense, though.
Also, this is the before we get into this next one, this is the quote that got me, where I'm like, fuck, these guys are living hard times for life. For life, dude, beginning to end. It never got easier. So this is from the interview in 2013. Jerry says, right around the time, or like 2004 time period, he says, right before Big Champion died, I was homeless for a couple of years. Poison Idea was on hiatus, and I'd squat, and I'd pretty much sold everything. Got divorced from my wife, lost everything. And once I got back on track, I got my shit together and stopped doing drugs. I wanted to start getting all those things again. I wanted that Finnish punk rock record that I really loved, the Llama first album. I still have that album. It's fucking great. Came out in 83. Says, and then I got the Tex and the Horseheads records that I threw away, and I got the Detox record that I wanted. It was weird because I always had my Germ singles even when I was fucking homeless. I had those at my brother's, me and Charlie, which was Myrtle, who played on, I forget which album, like 2 albums ago he was on it. He was the bass player. He says, we were at a homeless shelter once, and this kid said, hey, we were going to sell this, but if you would sign it, and it was a fucking Feel the Darkness in their backpack. That was the only CD they had. They said, if you sign this, maybe we'll hold on to it. I was like, yeah, dude, fucking stay strong, brother. Thank you so much. Also, I love the juxtaposition of, like, he loves the Germs so much. Those are the only things he's going to hold on to. And then he runs into someone who, like, I know they were going to sell it.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming they sold other CDs, and they held on to that one maybe I'll turn it around, and that was like the last resort sell. Man. And to have that, like, he has his Germs records, and then running into a fan where they held like, oh,
it's beautiful.
Man,
it's beautiful.
It's under horrible conditions, but yeah, it's a great story that I wish didn't happen. But
yeah, and it's also like super poignant because this is the outlier situation of a homeless situation where it's just a guy who got fucked. I mean, he's still on drugs, which is not that out of the ordinary, but got divorced, lost everything, ended up homeless, and fucking picked it back up. Mm-hmm. Like it's inspiring, but it's also heartbreaking. Like, this guy's life was never easy.
Yeah, probably still isn't. If I'm gonna take a guess,
it's probably still not easy, but I think he's a lot better now.
More stable.
Yeah, I fucking really hope so. But this is the first of the 2 reunion albums. This is the last album with Pig Champion because he died before this is released. This is 2006's latest Will and Testament. Oh yeah, lower the couple. There we go.
And honestly, I think this is what you want from a reunion album.
It is basically you like how we're hardcore. Well, we're hardcore, man.
We're so hard, yeah.
Just turn your back and walk away.
And yeah, it's great. Anytime a band is older, this to like, even if this isn't gonna make any fans, it's just like great to be like, hey, you guys haven't really lost a step.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's basically just standard hardcore. Nothing too out of the ordinary from what we've heard.
And this is the other album I don't like.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
I think of this. It's weird. My short relationship with the band. I was just like, oh, it's Pig's last album. I can't.
That's the thing. Like, it is Pig's last album, but I think this was very close to being worse. And the only reason why it wasn't is because the songs I like ended up sticking out too much and sticking with me longer. Like Novelty, that bass line is addictive, dude. It's I don't know. It's not ingenious or anything, but it's just super catchy, which is I can't say that about a lot of Pussycat songs.
It's catchy. I love a good dirty bass intro.
Yep.
So that's why, I'm there with you.
Yeah, and Kill the Messenger is it's much heavier than a lot of the ones, and I think the double pedaling is put to good use there.
That's a good song for
me
too.
The other two songs I dig with/against, it's like, yeah, look at that, we're on the same page.
I'm not even fucking.
Holy shit, three for three, dude.
Yeah,
it's dark hard. Is it samey? Definitely, but there's enough meat there for it to just not be. I don't love it, but I still like it, and it has a really great outro.
The other one I like on here is Factor X.
Factor X. Not a fan. I found it to be like high speed rock and roll.
Okay.
Which is not surprising given their love of New York Dolls and whatnot.
But yeah, Mike, that's pretty fucking insane how we agree. I would say those are all the highs. The other ones are lows, but they're not like, oh god, this is unlistenable. It's not unlistenable.
I do actually like the closer, Atonement for the Curse. I think it's very heavy and cool. It brings down the speed, cranks up the heaviness and the evil. I think it's a strong closer. Mm-hmm. But everything else, it's like, it's just average hardcore.
Yeah.
It's just average, really predictable, kind of generic in a lot of places. The only thing I think fucking stinks is Jihad Love.
It really overstays its welcome.
That's like the only song I'm like, Jesus, dude.
And then one of your pet peeves, it's right up in front.
Track 2. Oh, yeah. I'm out, dude. Yeah. The highs were high enough for me to forgive, but and also the album is like 27 minutes, so it is that was basically it. It's super short. It has the highs that I like. It's not worst, but I still don't love it very much. This album was produced and recorded by Mike Lastra, who owns Schmegma Studios, which is part of the experimental noise group Schmegma. He also worked on an earlier album, but apparently Schmegma is appeared on the Nurse with Wound list, which is apparently a famous list included with the first Nurse with Wound album, where they named all the obscure bands that they had in their record collection, which I'd never heard of this list. I didn't know anything about this. This is all from Tom.
Yeah,
and he says in his notes, he says, and if you don't know who Nurse with Wound are, you can bet there'll be a lot more to say about them when a Coil or Throbbing Gristle episode comes around. Well, that's something to look forward to.
There we go.
Yeah, hell yeah. Those are two bands that deserve like time and attention. I don't want to just like throw them on the list and just rush through it. Like those are like bigger and important.
For sure.
But look, these are all, this is the list. I'm in Duel 2. Yeah, there's some cut rock in there already. It's a massive list. It is a massive Chrome. So I'm already seeing John Cage can. Okay, Captain B4. This is an incredible list. Okay,
yeah, under the A's. I don't want to say it on air, but I see a band I want to cover.
Yeah. This is a wild list. Wild list. So that's the association that they have. I mean, it's no surprise because Jerry is a fucking music guy. He's a musician through and through.
Even though he does hardcore, yeah, he is a music nerd.
Yeah, 100%. And it's so funny because a couple of weeks ago, at this point, like 3 weeks ago, we covered the fucking Virgins, and we're just laughing and screaming about how this douchebag,
How shallow.
and how he has no business being in music. He doesn't even like music. He's like naming like you sung songs in school. Meanwhile, this homeless man with no toes is listening to the most amazing fucking obscure music ever.
Yeah.
It's like that's just the difference in types of people and where you go in life. It's fascinating and wild and sometimes very sad. But this is like the most well, it's not the most recent, but this is some interesting stuff about the writing process that Jerry talks about. Because I guess they just write about their experiences, which is not super uncommon. But I didn't dive into lyrics because you know me and I skip lyrics almost entirely. But for fans of Poison Idea, the lyrics are like the top. I think it's considered one of the best hardcore punk writers.
I could see that, but yeah, it is like a little hard to consume when there aren't like main courses per se. So.
Yeah, and
also, as songs go by so fast, you're not gonna have.
Yeah, and also he's fucking. You have no idea what he's fucking Tasmanian deviling every song, but apparently they're well written, and I believe that. And just even he's a funny guy. Like even his interviews, like he's a charming dude, funny guy, and he's still very sharp. But also he says this thing right here, which I think is just in a nutshell about art in general. He says, just write about what you know, and if you don't, you're lying, and people can tell. That's it. And that's the quote. It's very brief, but it's also like all across the board in all art. That should be a rule. If you're lying, you're gonna get spotted, dude.
Yep.
You have to be sincere. But when you have a life as wild as his,
There's no shortage of material.
goddamn. Oh boy. But anyway, yeah, so Pig would die, and then there'd be a long break in between. And this next and final album, there's so little info. We can't even find out who played on the album. It's like
Shit.
There's no info. The only thing I do know for sure is they have like the names of the backup vocalists. They have like
That's fucking weird.
and they had and I don't know who plays drums on this album.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine it's the same dude from the last one, which is Chris Cuthbert, but it's not for sure. A guy named Gordon Shaw.
Veg is on this one, right?
Vegetable. He is on this according to Wiki. That's the only source I can find. I think that has it's backed up. I'm not entirely sure, but again, the Discogs has nothing. It just mentioned that he plays on this album.
I almost wonder if someone like physically owns this album. Maybe there's liner notes. Hopefully.
If it's not on Discogs, then it's not. Because it just says like the artwork by this person, the backup vocals by and then a guy named Gordon Shaw played on one track drums, and that's basically all we get. But I imagine it's a lot of overlap. Whatever. Anyway, this is put on Southern Lord. This came out 2015. This is Confuse and Conquer. Hearing his voice here rejuvenated me.
This album does sound way gnarlier than the previous one in the best way possible.
Jerry sounds more like himself.
Yeah.
Somehow.
It's that Southern Lord effect.
Yeah.
Like 2 weeks in a row. Wait, right? Pro?
Maybe. I think so.
Yeah.
So more generic hardcore, but it's not bad.
It sounds better.
It feels better. It's not like it's written better or anything. It just feels better.
Feels better.
It's just produced really fucking well.
Jerry sounds incredible on it. And this album is their fucking weirdest album.
Yeah, this is once I recover from this. I think I'm going to come back to this one.
Yeah, I think me too.
Yeah.
no business being as interesting, diverse, fucking experimental, and good as it is.
Dude, when Psychic Wedlock came on, I was just like, this is weird. It is. So that intro is phenomenal. It's out of left field. It's a legitimately great piano intro. And then the song goes into I feel like it devolves into this kind of forgettable mid-pace hardcore, but then right in the middle, it goes real sludgy, real spooky, real spacey, and fucking awesome. I mean, it goes back to the shit I don't like. I don't love the song as a whole, but the parts that rip are unlike anything they've ever done. Yep. Hypnotic, I do give a miss. It's just
really, I like it a lot. That's the song that had a different drummer on.
Okay, yeah, that one was just. It's not full on rockabilly, but it was just a little too close.
So, reason why I like it. It is so different for them.
Yeah.
It is. You would never guess to be that to be a Poison Idea song. It has very snappy drums. It's very in the context. It's quiet. It's still upbeat and fast, but it has like palm muted guitars. It has like these sung backup vocals, which they don't do very often. It's still pretty generic, but it feels so different from everything that I welcome the change so much. Mm-hmm. And even has like rock and roll pianos in there, which is like, it's goofy and silly, but it just feels differently. And it's a thing that not a lot of their albums do, where most of them just have the same mode the whole way through. But this is like, oh, what the fuck? That's a different band.
Yeah,
almost.
This one ebbs and flows. Fucking Cold Black Afternoon. I couldn't believe these guys could play that fast still.
So I feel like that song I feel about that song the way I do about most of the album, where it's just every song is way too long.
Yeah.
Most songs are 3 minutes plus, some of them 4, some of them 5. But it just works. I do dig the song. I dig that song as well.
And then I think we're in agreement. The best song on here,
Dead Cowboy.
Holy
shit, dude. Holy shit.
I was listening to this with Dylan, and at first he's like, yeah, it's like hardcore, and that song came on and he's like, I really like this song.
Not only is it a fucking Western song, it's not just a Western song, it is a thorough and genuine,
well executed,
like a real Western song, and a genuinely great song. Like, it's not just like they pulled it off.
Zero business being this amazing.
It's like where you see a band like this where they try a fucking wild ass genre, and it's like, I see what they were doing. They don't know how to write that kind of music, so it feels like kind of goofy and stupid. Mm-hmm. This is like,
they feel like they're at home.
Exactly. It works. It's well written. It's performed like a fucking beast. It's produced perfectly. It's just so strange.
It is funny they have a song called Beautiful Disaster.
And I dig it.
Yeah.
And it's one of the best hardcore songs they've done in fucking years.
Yeah. And oh, man. And then the
Reprise.
Such a good.
Because what it is, it's just the good parts of Psychic Wedlock.
Oh, shit. I didn't even catch that.
It is literally just all the good parts smashed in. It's a little bit extra on the psychedelic side. Mm-hmm. It's very short, but it's the psychedelic and the piano parts of Psychic Wedlock just as the closer, which is like perfect. It took everything I didn't like about that song and chopped it off and made it into an outro.
Hell yeah.
Perfect. And it's not a perfect album. There's still some shit that I don't love. Like I don't like me and JD at all. I think it's kind of dog shit generic punk. And I don't care for the Rhythms of Insanity so much, but I love Jerry's performance on it. I think he sounds fucking awesome. And I do see that as a song people probably would like. I just personally don't care for it.
In terms of old man reunion albums, though,
it doesn't get much better than this.
Yeah,
it's insane. I was fully ready to give this worse. I was like, this is not only a reunion album, it's a reunion album. It's 10 years after the other guy died.
I saw Southern Lord put it out. I'm like, no, there's got to be something with this. I don't think they would just like. Not to say they don't have bad albums. I haven't listened to everyone, but for the most part, I'm rarely let down if it's got that.
And this one is no different.
Yeah.
I mean, weirdly good. Mm-hmm. And it left a nice taste in my mouth after the whole discography, and made me like happy that the band exists and that they did what they did and that they ended on such a weird high note that really has absolutely no business being good. But goddamn, is it fucking very cool. And the most diverse and interesting album.
Yeah.
Like how? Like that's it's so rare that happens in a career. Goddamn. But yeah, so they broke up in, I don't even know, 2019, where they announced it officially. I don't know exactly. I might be able to pull it up here. But so, okay. So
yeah, they played their last show 2019.
So there's a few wild things about, I mean, this band had some wild shit, but some wild things. So between the last album and this album, in 2008, Steve, the drummer, was fucking, he wasn't in the band anymore, but he was arrested in connection with a string of pharmacy robberies. And apparently, I looked at the fucking article, he was holding up like Walgreens pharmacies at knife point for prescription drugs.
I mean, that's what this band does.
It's what they do. They're just criminals and druggies, which is fucking wild. He ended up dying in 2020 of a heart attack. Oh. Shocker. And then after that, that's, I think, I mean, it just happened. I don't remember what year exactly it was. I forget. But
where he died, or
no. Where Jerry started writing the I think I have it here.
Oh, that's when he talks about possibly amputating his foot. It's in there.
So he's talking about the autobiography that was just released. He says, for years, Adam Parfrey, who was a friend of his, would tell me, you need to do it. It took years and I wouldn't do it. I had no desire. He said, yeah, I'll get to it. I'll get to it. I'm just, I'm still researching my book. I'm still doing more things. Got to go to the hospital this weekend. I'm researching getting my foot amputated. He said, I'll do it now. I'll get, you know. About 2 years before he died, I sat down and I actually did it. I wrote hard and I got it done. Then the two of them had a falling out. He says, then I was stuck with this transcript, and then about a week later, he fell down the stairs and died. So I felt really shitty about that because we were friends, and then we had this falling out, and then, you know, so I just shopped around, called some people, like, does anybody know? There's people in LA? And eventually he got hooked up with someone, and they fucking published it. And it was a big book. It was 1,000 pages, basically. And they said, well, we got to do an anthology. We got to do it in parts. So it's called Black Heart Fades Blue, and it's released in 3 parts. Each, you know, the first one is about his childhood. Second one is about the Poison Idea stuff and all the, you know, young years. And the last one is about him afterward. And he says, right here, he says, all this stuff, like I say, the hospital visits and the gunshots and shit like that. So they said, we're going to release it in a box edition set with like 3 volumes, the early years, the middle years, and the later years. That's what they're doing. And it's called Black Heart Fades Blue. And it goes up until when I met my wife 3 years ago. And that's where it ends right there, which is very nice. It's very nice and well-rounded. I don't want to learn anything else. I just imagine that he's happy and he's successful and he's married and he's all good. I want this man to do okay. God damn. Heavy, dude.
Crazy dudes.
There's always some kind of crazy shit with hardcore punk bands, but this is like one of the ones where it's like, oh, these were the real deal.
If they were like more famous, I could see like turning their lives into like a movie or a TV series.
It would be an amazing TV series.
It'd be insane.
I don't know if there was enough like accounts for what happened though. It's just Jerry at this point. Basically, well, some guys are still alive.
There's 1 million members,
but they were there. A lot of them didn't even play shows. They would just join and then leave.
What about fucking roadies? There's a way.
There's a way. I mean, there were no roadies for punk bands. Oh, there were some, but most of them just did their own shit. But there's a way. There's for sure a way. But anyway, thanks so much for listening and watching. This has been a wild and lengthy episode, unsurprisingly. But let's do a little recap.
For me, best personal favorite. Feel the Darkness is a newbie. I think, that's the one. Do that unless you're a crazy hardcore punk fanatic, then you're gonna be with Mike. And then my worst, least favorite, War All the Time. Not awful, but it kind of wore out its welcome for me.
All right. Best personal favorite, Pick Your King, one of the greatest hardcore records ever made. If you have any passing interest, that is what it is. That is what it's about. Sure, there are other examples like group sex and fucking adolescence and I don't know, Dance With Me or other plenty of hardcore records where it's like, oh, these are really good albums and you can show these to more people. This is hardcore. Like this is hardcore. This is exactly, I think it's perfect. Worst least favorite, We Must Burn, because it's boring. Not because it's weird. I like the weird. I appreciate the weird. I just don't like how it was written in any way at all. Oh my God. But that about does it. Thank you so much to both Eli and Roy for suggesting this one. This is I'm actually really happy that people wanted this one because it's such a fascinating band.
Mike's mood did a complete 180 from recording to now. It's amazing to see.
It's because it's so fascinating. Like these are the best stories in music for me. Like the dudes who were dying and going to jail and shooting people and selling drugs. And it's like
toes amputated.
Getting toes amputated. It's too real. And it makes you grateful that you don't have to fucking live through that.
There's 1,300 pounds of them.
So fucking fat. They're so fat. Y'all gotta get healthier, man. You're gonna die soon. It's not good. But thank you so much for listening and watching and hanging out. If you like the video, like the video. Leave comments if you want to talk shit, if you want to chit chat, if you want to leave your picks for best and worst. You can also subscribe. That would also be very cool, along with telling your buddies if they're also fans of this shit. It's a weird, obscure music that we all seem to like at this channel. Don't forget to check out the Poison ID Spotify playlist. We got a link in the description. We got a place associated with basically every episode. You can find all those at everyalbumever.com. Please follow and not follow, join the Patreon, patreon.com/everyalbumever for all the bonus episodes, early access to the Loose Ends episodes, 20% off all our merch. You get to see our schedule in advance. You get to vote on polls. And if you're tier 2, then you get to suggest artists for us and we actually will cover it. And that's all good stuff. Don't forget to check out my debut EP, Pander Monkey, on all platforms. It's very cool. It sounds nothing like Poison Idea, but I still think it's very cool. Follow me on all social media at Pander Monkey as well. And follow Alex on Instagram.
At Mother Puncture.
Hell yes. And last but not least, our history guy, Tom Osman, who gathered so much fucking awesome and fascinating history about this band and all these interviews. Tom Osman Sounds on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And tomosman.substack.com for all of his writings and musings about music. And his debut album, So Much for All in a Day's Work, which you can find a link to in the description as well as all the platforms. Very cool stuff. Now, if I pick... So the last song, I can't pick something that's going to be over in 40 seconds.
You can pick a few songs.
I think I have a better idea.
You can pick half the EP.
That is true. I could pick half, but I think a better idea is just to go with, I think, their best closer, and that is Out of the Picture from Kings of Punk. So hell yeah. Thank you so much for listening and watching. See ya.